Welcome to the Purity Pulse podcast, your go-to podcast for the natural industry and everything Purity Life. I'm Julie.
And I'm Erin.
And this week, we're going to go through some weekly check-in first.
Yep.
What's going on, Erin?
Well, tomorrow's my birthday.
Ooh.
Yeah, turning 43.
So young. So young.
If only. Yeah, so it's been, I think things are starting to calm down a little bit. It's a little less hectic. Getting into, we're starting November. November's here already. So.
Yeah. Any big plans? What's your favorite birthday cake? Because,
No big plans.
No?
I don't know. I don't do huge things around my birthday. I usually try and kind of keep quiet about it and let it pass by. I don't know. I've just always been that way.
Really?
Yeah.
But I want to know, what's your favorite birthday cake flavor, though?
I don't really have one.
You don't have one? Wow.
Not really. I think probably I probably like cheesecake more than anything else, but not a huge.
Note taken.
Yeah.
Note taken.
Is that going to be on my desk tomorrow morning?
There's a great possibility. There's a chef in me.
Perfect, you can make it.
Couple of things. I just returned from Paris. I won't say too much because we have a podcast to talk about all of that. But returning from Paris and heading to CHFA is putting on a meet and greet in Montreal. Yeah, November 7th. So from a suitcase to another suitcase, that seems to be a little bit of my life this year.
That'll be good though. They did that last year, I think, for the first time, right? Their networking event.
It was their first time, and it was very, very good. Where people are more, relaxed on CHFA. Everybody is, rushing. You want to talk to everybody.
And go-tos.
Yeah, and for those events, you have time to discuss. You have time really to connect with people, and there's different people from the industry. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, a nice venue too. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful downtown Montreal. Mm-hmm. So very rustic, and so looking forward to that.
Purity Life is providing some gift bags. Get your gift bag.
I know. We just put together some essentials for the guests. So we're looking forward to support CHFA.
Well, that'll be fun. Good.
And so so very excited for this episode, which will be in two parts because it was we really took our time to discuss.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we've got enough time to really chat with these gentlemen. Our men's health episode, our men's episode.
That's right. So we have three guests, and I think you want to maybe introduce who's going to be on that podcast.
Yes. So we'll have Sanjiv Jagota. So he's the president and founder of Nature Source and the Nature Signature Stores.
Yes.
Always fun to chat with.
And director of the Canadian.
The CHFA too.
Yes, absolutely.
We've got Mike Roberts as well. So he is actually at Purity Life as our VP of Purchasing and Customer Care. Both you and I know him very well.
Absolutely.
So
and Mike has been with Purity for over 18 years. So lots of great discussion coming from.
Yeah, and lots of experience.
That's it.
And then to round it out, we've got Michel Montreuil. How'd I do?
Well,
you should
close,
probably say it.
Yeah, maybe I will say Michel Montreuil.
Thank you. There we go. That's much better. I tried. I really did.
I like to have you practicing. My face just went, okay, that's good.
Sure, okay.
Practice.
Michel is the president of M Squared Brand Management. We've worked with him for a very long time as well. A really good, diverse group. So I'm excited to hear some of their answers to our tough questions. But as you mentioned, we have a lot to say. And I think, so the plan here is this is actually going to be a two-parter. So we'll go through our first section. And once you get through, make sure that you come back and tune in for next week for the second half of the men's episode.
Absolutely.
Here we go. All right, we're so happy to have you here, guys. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. So I know that many people in the industry know you, like the three of you. They've seen you running the show floor, I would say, in the couple past weeks. But we would like to know a little bit more about how you came in to be in the industry and a little bit of, where you came from. So I'm I'm going to designate Michel to start us off on his little journey, and give us a little bit, how you made it to own and being the president of M2.
Yeah, it was. I grew up with two parents that were business owners, and so it was kind of always the 9 to 5 wasn't really something that existed in my household. And around the age of 15, just before I turned 16, I started bagging groceries in a grocery store, like many teenagers do. And I hung around for years, actually, while I was still in school. I ended up department manager, health and beauty, department manager of the garden centers and the natural values department as well. And eventually kind of left that, moved around for a couple of years and ended up working in what was a very large health food store at the time as their grocery manager. And that's when I was first exposed to brokers. And so I thought it was kind of a really cool, different job that I didn't really know existed. And about a year and a half later, there was a position that opened up. There wasn't very many brokers. There wasn't very many opportunities to become one. And position opened up. I applied, and it was fun. I got the job, and I liked the independence of it. But as I got a bit older, I kind of was leaning more towards my roots of just kind of, doing everything on my own. And so an opportunity came up to start a brokerage, M2, with Miriam. And so we did that in 2010, and I'm still doing it to this day. So that's how I ended up president of M2. It's been a wild ride, and it's been a lot of fun.
How many years now? Because I think you celebrated a milestone. Was it last year? With COVID, I lost track of time, I must say.
2020 ruined our 10-year anniversary party. We actually were planning our 10-year at for CHFA East. That did not happen. So we'll be 14 in December. So we're hoping maybe next year we'll get it done.
Awesome.
That's pretty amazing. And like product wise, or what got you into, like, were you in love with the industry? Because what I hear from your background is more of your entrepreneurship and wanting to, I know you, and I know you like to be independent, so having your own business really tie up. But how came about being in this industry? Because you could have been in fashion, you could have been in something else, right? I look at your beautiful picture in the background there, and I know that you like nice.
Could have been many things.
Yeah, no, exactly. So
it
why
tied
this
in the
industry?
same way. It tied in the same way in that even at the time, especially when you go back in this industry that many years ago, it was a lot of independent brands. It wasn't as much of brands that were coming from the conventional to the natural channel or trying to come into our space. It was a lot of startup companies as well. And it was a lot of independent retailers. So it was really kind of within that same space. And so an industry that I didn't know that much about. I mean, I did grow up in a household where my father was making his own yogurt in the 80s. So we definitely had that going on in the background at home. But it was more, I think it was the independence of everyone within the industry that kind of really fascinated me at the beginning. It was like we were all trying to do the same. We were all trying to kind of march the same path. And so I learned about the industry itself on my way down that path, but we were all walking the same path.
So I could say that because you're a free spirit and you like the kind of the environment that was creating that, right?
Exactly. And it was definitely, I mean, this industry still is pretty free spirit, but it was definitely free spirited.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Michel. Sanjiv, I know that you also have been celebrating a milestone, and you've been in the industry many years. So how did you came in this industry?
My background comes from organic chem, biochem. So I spent time working initial plan was to go to med school. From med school, I didn't end up pursuing that. So I got into working in a lab. And at the time, my boss said, your personality is more to work in sales opposed to doing quality control in the lab. Because I used to
So you were distracting everybody in the lab.
Yeah, I used to go dressed up even with suits on into the lab, and then end up burning my clothes with the sulfuric acid and stuff like that. So I got into sales, and I would say I was 27, 28 years old, had a nice career in pharma, and just sitting in one of the gastro's office and looked around the room and said, what am I doing here? I'm not helping anyone. It was just going through the motions. Quit my job, didn't know what I wanted to do. and did
Quit without even having a
about 6
backup
months to figure out what I wanted to do. And all my friends say, you enjoy chemistry, you enjoy health, why don't you figure that out? And that's how I landed in health food. I never looked back, and it's allowed me to just have fun.
But you know, it makes total sense. I like creating puzzle and putting all things together, and it's so just totally makes sense. If we look at your stores, right, the Nature Source and Nature Signature, it really ties up your medicine kind of need, because your stores are very, I would say, information, education, practitioner. Customers that go in your store, they know they will talk to advisors that are really
you can definitely tell that background,
knowledgeable,
how that has influenced your stores,
so
for sure.
You were able to take that background and your love for sale, and I would say your very stylish way, because you're one of the best dressed in the industry, I would say. Definitely. So you really brought into this market that I would say flavor of the conventional practice with the natural offer, which is fantastic. And I would say we're very grateful that you continue to grow and continue with that message. So fantastic background there.
How many stores are within the Nature Source, Nature Signature portfolio now?
16. When I got in the industry, my frustration was how a lot of the companies had the research, they had the evidence, they had the science behind their products, but they would come and talk to us. And I'd always push them. I said, don't talk to me. Go talk to the gastro down the street. Go talk to the pediatrician. And that's really helped us solidify ourselves in the industry, is really partnering with practitioners, not only in this industry, but outside the industry. Because I think we, in many ways, are a hidden gem. Our vendors spend so much time and energy, sourcing products, sourcing ingredients, and putting research behind their product, but we don't talk about it. And and then the medical community is craving it. So that's where I think really we emphasize and try to position ourselves. And it's helped countless clients just across everywhere. It's been amazing to see that.
For sure. I think your impact goes very, very far and wide, for sure. So that's a cool impact to have.
And last but not least, our very own Mike Roberts. I know a bit of your story in the back, but our audience doesn't. So please enlighten us on how do you came to be, with Purity, but in this beautiful industry as well.
Similar to Michelle, I actually started out bagging groceries at a grocery store for several years through high school and college, and moved into the dairy department for probably 7 or 8 years at that store. And then actually ended up getting a job at the head office in the supply chain department, and was commuting to Toronto from Waterloo, where I live. And I did that for a few years and decided I didn't want to live in Toronto and I didn't want to keep commuting. So started looking for something else. And back then it was an ad in a newspaper for a purchasing position at a natural product distributor, not Purity Life, another distributor at that time. Worked there for several years and kind of took on more responsibilities, and kind of got to as far as I thought I could get to there at the time. And so I actually left and worked for a potato chip company, so completely outside of our industry. But I always liked it and enjoyed it. And my manager at that distributor actually moved to Purity Life, and there was an opening at Purity Life, and he told me about it. And it was a great opportunity that I couldn't resist. So started at Purity as director of purchasing 18 and a half years ago. And it's been a great ride ever since. I've been exposed to many different parts of the business, purchasing, vendor relations. We actually owned a contract manufacturing facility that I was general manager of for a couple of years, managed our sales team for a few years, and now looking after our customer care and purchasing and pricing and systems team. So yeah, it's been a great almost 20 years with Purity so far.
Well, we're glad that you left the chips and you're with us now.
I'm so excited for the rest of this interview because we have such a diverse group here.
Absolutely.
And even just in experience, right? We've got obviously our VP from Purity Life. We've got a key retailer and a major broker. The different perspectives are going to be so fun to kind of walk through. So I do have a question for you. Maybe Michelle, will start with you. I would like to know, what is your point of difference, or what do you think is one kind of main decision or action that's really contributed to your success that you've developed?
I'm always pretty accessible. I think that anybody on this podcast knows that, but that goes as far as retailers, clients. We've always tried to keep everything lean enough where we really are your main point of contact. And so while sometimes that's difficult to keep up, it does make it so that everybody feels like the retailer partners, the distributor partners, the vendor partners really just always feel like we are there, we are present, and we are, trying to get what everybody needs done.
Absolutely. Does that exhaust you?
Yes.
It must be very difficult.
Our portfolio lean enough to be able to do that, and I mean, it's I'm only as good as the people around me, and I'm surrounded by some really great staff.
Yeah. That's true. You do have a fantastic team. So, and I guess just, that awareness of kind of how much you can accomplish when you want to be so hands-on, and knowing to kind of keep your work within that.
But I think it's really important as a lead of a team that they see you in the field with them, because this way, you're part of understanding what's really going on. If you're too remote and you're never in touch with the reality, then you look at numbers, and numbers are great, but it's one portion of the equation. And I think that, Michelle, you're doing that very well, giving the possibility for your team to make decision, but you're also knowing what's going on in industry. So that makes it for a very important point of differentiation, and gives you why you're succeeding so well.
Well, I think that it's really important, if you want to be able to make a quick decision that's still well informed. Well, you need to remain well informed in the day-to-day. If not, you're just making a split-second decision that's based on little information sometimes, and that's where we generally slip up and make a mistake.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
Absolutely.
Sanjiv, how about you? What would you say your point of difference is?
You know what? I think I'm thick-headed in my vision. I know where I want to be and where we want to go, but I'm not afraid to surround myself around people that I can seek advice from, and also are willing to challenge me and say no to me. And I think that's been probably one of my biggest successes, is as much as I'm focused, but I also know I need to surround myself around some of the people that can actually challenge me on my ideas, because otherwise I'm all over the map. And that's just, I know, being an entrepreneur, I could take on 50 tasks in one day, but it doesn't mean they're going to get accomplished at all. So I would say that would be the keys to being surrounded around some really good people that can guide you and not be afraid to say no.
Yeah.
You're like the vision of your companies or your stores, and you need people to execute. So you're definitely well surrounded, and we've worked with you for so many years, and I can definitely attest to that you're really always open to take on ideas and surround yourself with very key and strong people. So kudos to you. Well done.
Have you always been able to accept those challenges when given to you? Is that always something that's been natural for you, or is that something you've kind of had to learn?
I had to learn, and and I say this, I have to also learn how to believe in myself. I'm I would say quasi imposter syndrome. When I sit in a room, I always think the worst, and that's why I have to surround myself around people willing to say no to me, because it's just, I have to get past that with every day I deal with it. So no, it hasn't been natural.
Any key points that's helped you overcome that? Just practice.
Practice, and and actually face the challenge. I mean, even today coming on this, you know what I mean? Like I just messaged you, and just saying I gotta do it. And I find once I'm started the process, or I'm in it, it's not as hard as it is. And that's how I've learned to overcome a lot of things I deal with day to day, and just go in and just see what's the worst that could happen.
Yeah. So often that's the difference in success, right? Is just if you can push yourself past that boundary, past that comfort zone, you'll see the success, but you have to be able to push yourself through that huge discomfort, right?
That reminds me of a CrossFit workout, actually, because you look at what you see on the board and it's like, oh my God, I'm going to put myself through this again. But then every time you build that strength, you build that muscle basically, and you remember that, hey, it felt good. I felt accomplished after it. So there's that second, as you say, Sanjiv, that there's that fear and that imposter syndrome that wants to take you back. But then if you push forward and say, hey, let's just try it. What's the worst can happen?
I am.
Yeah, and then you build on that. And again, I think it's very good for owners or managers or whoever the position that have a team underneath them, because if they see you and you're being vulnerable, saying, hey, I've done this today. That wasn't natural. That was hard for me, but I did it and I feel fantastic. That's one of the best way to grow and energize a team as well, because you give them the chance for them too to become better, right?
Yeah.
Mike,
how about you? Any specific point of difference or any big decisions that have really impacted your success?
I think for me, it's my organizational skills, and I'm very task oriented. And I think I'm good at working with other people and holding them accountable. When something, project gets started, I like to see it to the end. But similar to what's already been said, you can't do that on your own. And I think I've been able to build some really strong relationships over the years. And it's surrounding yourself with a great team of people, both inside our organization and outside of our organization. And I think I've been loyal to those relationships and support them. And that's really been a big part of, I think, what's led to me being successful, is surrounding myself with other strong people.
And I think it's key when you, in an organization, you always need somebody that can bring a vision and the excitement of it. But if it ends there, nothing gets accomplished. And definitely, Mike, your strength is one of your strengths is definitely to make sure that everything is done to the end, to the accomplishment.
He gets it over the finish line. Julie and I have a very, very unique perspective with Mike because we worked with him for so long and in many different ways. But no, that's definitely like that's you, Mike, right? Is let's pull it past the finish line. It's going to happen. We're doing it, and
that's one of my pet peeves is something gets started and doesn't get finished. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. So
we see that in your face usually, and that's good. We appreciate that.
That's where we need your balance.
Exactly. And you mentioned loyal, and I think that's a very good quality to have, definitely, and especially when you want to build long-term relationships. And I think that this industry has been known to have that.
Yes,
like we work with partners, and sometimes, Michelle, we work with brokers, and you bring on new brands. We have that relationship, and we work together to make sure that a brand gets successful. With Sanjiv, we help in the store, finding ways to make the industry successful. So it's all that. I think that being loyal is really a important point to mention and to be aware of in this industry.
Well, and sure, knowing also that any brand, any retailer, any broker, everybody has their ups and downs. And I think this is a great industry for being able to support those. So if somebody, even outside needs to step in and kind of support back up that hill, that loyalty is sometimes what's enough to kind of get you up that hill and see that path to success again.
That end that comes in reach to help you out. So now that we've been a little bit talking about some important element that helped you to be successful, we all work a lot of hours, and I know all of you, and I know that we are very busy in this industry, and we love it. Some people would say, how do you accomplish that work-life balance? I like to use how do you integrate all of that as well? So we'll start with Mike. How do you balance? Because we travel, there's a lot of shows, there's a lot of demands. I mean, there's a lot of hours. How do you, and I know you have 2 kids,
I was going to say, maybe even starting with what are you balancing?
Yes.
It's difficult for sure, but work-life balance, I think, is very important. And I often tell people family comes first. Business is important for sure, and I would say it's a very, very, very close second. But it's important to make time for family. And in one of my previous roles, I traveled quite a bit. One of my goals was to try and always be home for the weekend at least, so I could get to, different hockey games or sporting events and things that the kids were doing. And sometimes you just need to make that time for family. Same, I would try and be home for dinner most nights, but it can be difficult and stressful on family that's at home, as well as me or whoever that's in the office working. And one of the ways I tried to justify that to myself was I'm there, working hard and maybe putting in extra hours now, or traveling and being away and missing out on whatever events are happening. But that's also that we can, go on a trip somewhere as a family together and working towards, a week where we're together, as opposed to missing out on an event, tonight. But it's difficult to juggle that for sure. And it's still an ongoing challenge, I find, to balance both.
Yeah. I think, though, one thing I've always kind of admired about you, Mike, is that you're vocal about that. Like something we talk a lot about Purity Life is, what's your why? And I know that you've often said that your why is really your family and what that end goal is and where you're going to get with that. And it's always nice to hear that. I mean, especially as for other people with families and whatnot, you want to see that in leadership too. So I think it's just such a good quality.
Yeah, I think it's great to have a mix, because you have you do have people who would have like families, and to respect that's their main and greatest importance, and to, yeah, as you say, to bring it up, and so others can feel that they too can say, hey, my family is my priority and I'm making time for that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have the other side that maybe don't have families, and that's that
and their whys are different, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So that's kudos. That's great.
Michelle, how about you? Any how do you work out with your balance?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm on the same page as Mike, where it's really important to kind of make that time. And something that I learned, unfortunately, too late, but not too late. Maybe about a year and a half ago, I turned off notifications on my phone during certain periods of the day. And so whenever my kids are around, I started off just not, getting the pop-up that there was an email or a text message coming in. And whenever I'm with my children now, I actually don't have my phone on me. So if I pick, the girls up from daycare and school, then my phone will stay in the car until 7:30 or 8 o'clock, so that I don't have that temptation to look and see what's going on. And so I can engage fully with my children, which is something that I realized I don't think I ever had done fully before that. Even when we were on vacation, like there's always, a laptop and an iPad and, every device known to man following me in a bag. So that being able to turn away from that, especially with the amount of technology and access to information that we have today, just for a couple of hours makes me a much better parent. And then when they go to bed, I grab my phone. If I need to catch up, well, I'll sit down for a couple of hours and do it. But at least I know that when I was with them, I was with them.
That's good. At the beginning, was it nerve-wracking? Because I know, yes.
I was going to say that couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, horrible, right? Yeah.
It was very difficult. I mean, I remember even, and I think everybody on this call will understand, Blackberries used to have that flashing red light every time something would come in. And so we were kind of trained that, if we see a light flash on our phone, we need to grab our phone. And it was really difficult for me when I switched over to Apple years and years ago now. And it's still it's like as if we were programmed where you have to check your phone constantly. And it's been like that for, 15 plus years. And so to move away from that was really difficult, but I heavily recommend it.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you said you did that, kind of made that big change a year and a half ago. Have you ever looked back? Do you ever consider kind of, hey, maybe that was too far or not far enough, or?
I wish I had done it sooner. I mean, that being said, my oldest is 9.5. So, I wish I had done it sooner. But that being said, I'm not overly concerned about the type of parent I was before. I just, as a parent, you realize you can do better. And I'm glad that I realized that I could do better now versus, when my kids were in their 20s.
Yeah, it's certainly a challenge, because I mean we have it's more than the flashing light from BlackBerry, right? It's now it's all the social media, and we need to, I'm just thinking, when you look at your phone, you have your emails, you have text message, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn, there have Facebook, there's TikTok.
They can get you from everywhere.
And LinkedIn, I forgot one, and everybody wants now an answer. So if you get caught up in that, that wheel, it's hard, right? That's why I wanted to ask you, because it's it takes a lot of strength, I would say, in this day to make that decision, the peer pressure, the need to answer fast, because people know that you have that device in your hands, right? So it's I'm impressed. I'm very impressed, Michel.
I encourage it. And it's an interesting experiment is do it for a couple of weeks and then pick up your phone one day and start reading things when you theoretically shouldn't be. You become irritable. Like I'll get irritated about something that I shouldn't be irritated about. And it's simply because I now feel like that's invading time that it should not be invading. And so it can really be any type of email. It's not somebody that's, done something. It's just all of a sudden you feel like you're letting it back in when you shouldn't be. And so that really stood out to me.
Yeah. And it's interesting, I think, so we're talking about balance, and in Michel's case, it's how do you balance that with time with your children. But this is all balance, right? I mean, there's lots of other things in life too. If work is what work is all the time and you don't have time to do what you're passionate about, go outside, have a hike, CrossFit, all of the other things that are outside of that, if you're just become kind of this one-sided person, you're not creating that balance, and you'll see it in your interactions and the way your mind works and all of that too, right?
And it depends in times of life too. I like to call it the seasonality. Sometimes you have to just, put your head down and do for a while because there's special project. I would say Sanjiv and Michel, you would know that owning your business, that sometimes there's no balance and you know that it's going to be for that season in time, and you hunker down and you just do for a while.
For that end goal.
Knowing that, that balance, whatever balance is for you, what it means for you, right? Yeah. Some people will need more. Some people, it's one class of exercise and they're back at it. They're happy with that. So, but I'm curious to know, Sanjiv, we talk about a lot of, balance with children, with Mike and Michel, but how about when you're married and your spouse, and how you balance time, but you don't talk about work? And I know that for a fact personally for myself, but on your side, how do you balance on how you make time? Because you've been married how many years now?
26.
So that's pretty successful. I mean, in this day and age, that's a very successful. So what would be your recipe on that timeline, and how do you balance all that and make sure that...
Well, and especially because Mona is involved with Nature Source and Nature Signature pretty closely as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's been a struggle from day one, meaning for me, I enjoyed work. I did what I did. But what really resonated with me was when we opened the first store, I had a customer come in. I think he was head of hydro or something. He said, just keep in mind what you're building here is not for the second wife. And
I never understood
that. Wow.
I asked him what he meant by that. He goes, listen, you're doing everything, but you're going to forget the love at home. And what I learned from that was just sharing all my challenge and success with the family, including the kids, so that they were understood if I was away, why I was away. And, even on vacations, the kids would complain that you guys only talk about business. But it took us years to get to the point where we learned to shut it off. And also going through a guilt trip myself. I'm away while people are working because we're open 7 days, right? So you go through that guilt of, am I allowed to be home and not answer my phone? So, Michael, thank you for sharing that, because you go through that. Am I allowed to shut my phone off at 6 o'clock because the stores are open? So you go through that. And I also found having that work-life balance also encourages your team around you to saying, you know what, that means we can have it too, because then they're racing with you, right? And what I've told the staff, if I answer emails or things after hours, it's just that's when I have time, but I don't expect you to answer. Michael, to your point, when kids are in bed, we're answering emails, we have time, but I don't expect them to answer them back to me. And I think that creates a good culture environment in the company when your staff realize that too. Hey, it's okay if you get a message from the boss at this time. You don't have to answer it. And vice versa. If I get it from them, and I say, if it's that important, phone me. But even with Mona and I, it took us years to turn it off. And sometimes we're out for dinner. We'd say, okay, 15 minutes of everybody else, but we got to stop. And we literally look at the clock like a CD. Okay, it's 9:15. No more talking about anything, because it is so important. You're right, because the business, the kids, everybody becomes you, except you two. So I think that is where we've really tried to do it. And her coming to the shows has really helped, like coming to Anaheim or Vancouver. She sees how busy I am, what I'm doing, and she's part of it. So it's easier to share that with each other when you know what you're going through. But I always say our biggest decisions now are made together as a family, the four of us, opposed to just me or Mona and I. And it really helps that work-life balance because they know what you're diving into.
Mm-hmm. Right. Wow.
Yeah. Well, your what your hydro man told you just will stick in my head. That's definitely a reality check,
that's an
because
comment, eh?
when you do, and I'm laughing because I can picture you and Mona having dinner, and when I think about Matthew and I, and we're sitting in a dinner, to not talk about work is challenging. Like we're focused couple of minutes and we say, okay, we're not talking about work, and then sure enough, we're back at it, and we have to constantly remind each other that, you know, we're working for a company, we're working to build and all that, but there's us at the beginning too, right?
Yeah.
So
and there needs to be us at the end.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
And
Exactly.
That's so much of that point too.
Our own moments, right? We got to create our own happy moments, opposed to everything else being part of those moments. And it's like what Michael said, it resonated so well with me. Turn the phone off and create those times with the kids. And, you know, I remember going to kids' hockey games and I'm on the phone. And then at some point I had to learn to shut it off and say, listen, I'm here to watch them play hockey, and that's it.
Yeah, not just being the body, physical body being there, but that's all that is there, right? Well, this is very insightful, and I think that sharing that for our audience as well, and talking more and more about this will help people hopefully to change some habits, right?
Yeah.
And so we're very
at least
thankful.
stop and think about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Those choices.
If I can share something with you, I found in our industry, they're more welcome to hear about your personal life than a lot of other industries. And they're willing to work with you when you don't answer the phone. Somebody doesn't get up. Oh, you must have been busy. We're more accommodating that way than most other industries. So I think we're very fortunate where we are, that we can actually talk about our personal lives. And, you know, people understand when sometimes you're not available. Why?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's it for episode 9. Definitely join us next week because we're going to continue on with Michel and Mike and Sanjiv. It's going so well. So continued next week. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we want to hear what you have to say. So definitely email us at marketing@puredlife.com if you've got ideas on what you want to hear us say or what you don't want to hear us say. And follow us on social. Purity Life Health Products LP. I'm Erin G. Macklin.
And I'm JD_Girl Power.
And that is it for episode 9.
Thank you.